From the book of Matthew in the New Testament. In marriage, until the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing until the flood came and swept them all away. So too will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then two will be in the field. One will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding meal together. One will be taken and one will be left. Keep awake, therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have left his house be broken into. Therefore, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Please be seated. In our house, there is enough trick-or-treating that goes on the week before Halloween and Halloween night that by the time Halloween is over, the candy fills a rather large Tupperware bowl above the fridge. And the beauty of that is that the children are not yet tall enough to reach it, though they try with the chairs on many occasions. So in early November, my children start after dinner with, "Dad, can we have a piece of candy for dessert?" Okay. And then week 2 of November, the older one, in cahoots with the younger one, says, "Dad, maybe we could have 2 small pieces of candy instead of 1 big one." Okay. But in week 3, negotiate again. "Dad, if we have a small one, don't you think it'd be okay if we have a big one to go with the small one?" Okay. It was week 4 this year that told my wife and I that it was time to up the ante in our own skills of negotiation. My daughter said, "You know, Dad, I just really want a bag of M&Ms, the plain M&Ms." Okay. So I pulled those down. I gave her the bag. I was washing dishes. She's standing behind me at the island. And I'm washing this glass, and she says, "Dad, this package is broken." Well, I don't want her to eat a package that's already open. "It's open?" "No, it's broken. It only has 1 green M&M in it." Which is possible. And she said, "Dad, may I please have a second bag of M&Ms?" Now, she pulled out the good manners, like the exquisite manners, a reflection on her father, of course. How can you say no to the 4-year-old with the exquisite manners? And so I put the dish down, I dried my hands, I went and grabbed the bowl and pulled out a second bag of M&Ms, and I began to hand them to her, and because of her good manners, her lips all green, she opened her mouth to say thank you, but her tongue was red, yellow, and orange. The little sneak lied with her colored tongue. She had way more M&Ms than the 1 green one. Her tongue betrayed her. I now understand, as a parent, is that I have to stay 1 step ahead. I need to stay awake to know what my children are plotting against my wife and I. It is what Jesus calls us to do today. Keep awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. It's a great, great day. The season of Advent is one that I wish we spent more time teaching and speaking of than anything else, because it is so against the culture that tells us to rush out and get it, go pick it up, put it on the card, be done with it, and you can have it right now and you'll feel so good. Advent is about waiting and preparing and anticipating and watching and hope. When I was a younger person, we had this great thing called layaway, and now Kmart and maybe Walmart have kind of brought that back, but only for very short periods of time. But when I was 12 or 13, layaway could be 6 months long. And so when I found the leather jacket I really wanted and agreed on $25 a week with my parents based on chores and other things I was doing, I thought, well, this will be mine in no time, but realized that $25 and $212, well, when you do the math, that's a long time to get to the jacket. Winter was going to be half over by the time I got to the jacket. But the beauty of that was that it taught me to be patient and to anticipate what was coming. Advent for us is that moment to measure time. I love the wreath because it is the symbol for us of measuring time Sunday by Sunday by Sunday. And by the time we get to Christmas Eve, when the white candle is lit, the only thing the children will say at the children's time that night is, Santa is coming. Well, of course, Santa is coming. Jesus too, Jesus too, Jesus too. But when we get into the rhythm of a second and third candle being lit, they start to pay attention to the marker, the sign of what is coming at the end of these days of Advent. Paul writes in Romans chapter 13, "For salvation is nearer to us now than when we became believers. The night is on, the day is near." It's one of the few verses in scriptures that really applies to your life in this moment, because unless this is your first Sunday in church and the very first time you're hearing the story of Jesus, then as a believer who's gone on the journey already, salvation is closer to you now than it was the day you came to faith for the first time. I love that Paul uses those words. Salvation is nearer to us now. Salvation is coming sooner to us than when we first believed. A young man was learning to be a paratrooper, but before his first jump, he had great instruction by his trainer. And his trainer said, you need to memorize all of these instructions exactly. So you're going to get in the plane, and you're going to wait until the instructor up there tells you to jump. And when you jump, you're going to count to 10, and then you're going to pull the ripcord. And if that ripcord, if nothing happens, you pull the emergency ripcord. And when you land, you get in the truck, and the truck will take you back to the airport. He repeated the lines until he had them memorized. He got in the plane with his fellow soldiers. They went up to 10,000 feet, and the instructor started sending the paratroopers out of the plane one at a time. And when it was his turn, he waited. The guy said, jump, and he jumped, and he counted to 10, and he pulled his cord. And nothing happened. The chute failed to open. Remembering the memorized instructions, he pulled the emergency ripcord, and still nothing happened. No parachute. And the young man, as he's plummeting toward earth, said to himself, great, I bet the truck won't be there either when I get to the bottom. Keep awake, says the Apostle Paul. Don't be caught off guard, for the night is far gone and the day is near. Advent is a time of preparation, to wait in the darkness and to look for the light that flickers. Centrum Silver, I don't take it. Some of you might. It's a vitamin that I could care less about, except their commercial that just came out is fantastic. It has lutein in it. That's all I remember from the marketing. But the beauty is lutein is good for, anybody? Your eyes. And so they put this woman on a street, and they say the human eye is so amazing that 10 miles down the road, the human eye can distinguish a flicker of light from a candle. I don't really know if it's true, but that's pretty amazing if it is. That's what Advent is. Advent is being engulfed by the darkness, but seeing a light on the horizon. It's the shepherds in the field who are working with the sheep in pitch black except for the moon. And just as they've put their sheep away for the night and fallen asleep in the door of the corral, it's the bright light of the angels that come from nowhere and scare the daylight right out of them. What are you looking for in this season of Advent? What will bring you to your knees at the edge of an old wooden manger to welcome the gift of new life? Keep watch. Keep hope. I have that image, old Looney Tune cartoon with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And Daffy Duck is trying to stay awake, and Bugs Bunny puts toothpicks into Daffy Duck's eyelids. I know I'm dating myself, but I still love those cartoons. That's what Advent is. The promise that as the night gives way to the day, the pain gives way to comfort. That from the grief, laughter will come, and from loneliness, community will be found, and where there is emptiness, abundance will be given. Where there's hatred, love will cover. And where there is death, new life will rise. Keep awake. Keep awake. We got an email last night from our mission in Honduras. They prepare to travel home today. But they spoke about their last day. They've cooked turkey for the entire village. They have made repairs to the children's village where all of the orphans stay. They went and visited a very secluded village up in the mountain where mud huts and tin doors were that was the nice house. And so they said on their last day, we gathered everyone in the living room to gift each child a toy, some candy, a small cross from Ascension. Photos were taken, hugs were given, tears were shed, smiles, kisses, more hugs. And we walked to the end of the driveway holding hands. At the end of the road, there were final goodbyes, kisses, and more hugs. And we ended the day with some downtime before dinner. Some shopped, some explored, some packed. We each started to mentally and emotionally prepare for our return home in our own ways. For our last dinner in Honduras, we tried a new restaurant, and shortly after we ordered, the power went out. The waitress brought candles, and we sat and told stories from the week in the soft, flickering light. When the overhead lights suddenly snapped back on an hour or so later, it felt like a wake-up call, a stark reminder of our normal lives coming back into focus and the long day of travel ahead. That, my friends, is the description of Advent. We get lulled into living in the darkness because the world offers so much of it. And so we live there because it becomes comfortable for us. And yet you and me, we are the ones who are reminded to look out on the horizon for that flicker of light, because when Christmas comes and the star shines and the angels sing, the light is blinding for us that Christmas Eve, to remind us that God is not yet finished with the world. And that you and me, we have a long day of travel ahead. But the journey is so worth it to come to the stable to see a newborn king. Here we wait for this chosen one, this Jesus, who chases the night away and ushers in the day, who calms the storm and brings light to the darkness. Awake, The night is far gone and the day is near. Oh, my friends, it is nearer than we think. Amen.